Oh, catch me all the time. Eyes are bandit. Oh, look at teeth and wine. A whining bandit. Oh, lad. I'm feeling so wine on somebody, woman. Feeling so wine on somebody, girl. Feeling so wine on somebody, woman. Feeling so wine on somebody, girl. I don't care if she man or wrong. I go take she down to the ground. I'm feeling so wine on somebody, woman. Feeling so wine on somebody, girl. Oh, I feeling tipsy. My head feeling nice. I want to hold on a woman, my country for the night. I don't care if she taken, I'm taking a bite. Moving from woman to woman, and they say yeah.
Wednesday and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Glenn Lal Show only on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's Newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Without further ado, let's get to the news in detail. Irresponsible, misleading, and unfortunate were just some of the words chartered accountant and attorney at law Christopher Ram used to describe the excuse recently preferred by Vice President Bharat Jagdeo on the government's failure to audit ExxonMobil's expenses within the 2-year deadline prescribed in the lopsided Stabroek Block deal. Jagdeo had said the government is disappointed that it has not been able to push through with critical audits which cover over $9 billion in expenditure for the Stabroek Block's Liza Phase 1 and 2 projects. Ram said that no such audit has been done in 17 years of the PPP and 5 years of the APNU AFC, signaling to the oil companies that they were free to do as they please in all matters concerning their operations, including local content, an absolute requirement of the law. Now that successive governments have failed to protect the country's interest, rein in Exxon, and verify the billions of US dollars charged every month against oil revenue, Ram alluded to the absurdity of Vice President's excuse to now blame the absence of strong local content. And moving on, touting the natural gas to be had from the Stabroek Block's Liza 1 and 2 oil field developments as a transitional fuel towards the ultimate goal of 100% renewables, Vice President Jagdeo this past week signaled a likely increase in the cost of project already pegged at some $900 million. Jagdeo told reporters that despite prevailing global circumstances, the government cannot hold back development and as such is forging ahead with the project despite likely increases in cost. According to him, when factoring in prevailing global conditions, the prices for key commodities needed for the project have increased. And now let's tell you the EPA has approved Environmental Resources Management, or ERM, to come up with the terms and scope within which an environmental impact assessment study will have to be done with regards to the proposed $900 million gas-to-energy project, a project for which ERM had conducted studies previously. At least this is according to the EPA, as per the document that was approved in September last and since made public. The document highlighted that the power plant and distribution of electricity from the power plant are not included in the scope of the environmental impact assessment, except for their consideration when addressing cumulative impacts for the project. It was explained that this is since the power plant will be constructed, owned and operated by the government of Guyana or another entity, and as such, the scope for that project was not included directly. And coming from The Guardian, ExxonMobil and Chevron are the world's most obstructive organizations when it comes to resistance to governments setting climate policies. According to the research into the prolific and highly sophisticated lobbying ploys used by the fossil fuel industry. The biggest U.S. oil companies, as well as the American Petroleum Institute, a lobbying group, were found to be the worst offenders in a global report by lobbying experts at the think tank Influence Map. It concluded that companies were manipulating governments to take incredibly dangerous paths in their approach to climate action. Oil giants have mounted intense resistance to Joe Biden's green agenda, according to the report, as the U.S. president's administration attempted to shift the country away from fossil fuels. And to wrap things up this evening, let's tell you that Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony said the government is further increasing the country's capacity to cater for the hospitalization and isolation of COVID-19 patients across the regions. Minister Anthony revealed that each of the regional hospitals to be equipped to properly facilitate care of COVID-19 patients. The Infectious Diseases Hospital at Liliendahl, Region 4, remains the central facility to house persons who require hospitalization and has an ICU with the capacity to house 59 persons. The West Demerara Regional Hospital can now accommodate 50 COVID-19 patients, and with its proximity to Region 4, critical patients are easily transported to the Infectious Diseases Hospital. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Coming up next is the National Outlook, followed by a short presentation, as usual, from the publisher of the Kaieteur News, Mr. Glenn Lal, and at 19:20, The Glenn Lal Show.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on